Hello again, Aries. It's the last month of 2013. I'm here with your month in focus, your astrological transits, just the ones I consider most important. You can get some of the more detailed analysis there at my site, which I'll tell you about later. It's the 3rd of December today, and that basically means the moon is in conjunction with the sun. This is considered a new moon, and it occurs there in your ninth sector, Sagittarius. And this is an excellent placement, and one which indicates, commencement of new concepts, new ideas, the implementation of these new ideas, particularly during the phase of a new moon. The moon will move into the midpoint of the sun and Pluto at this point, right about the mid-heaven. That is the uppermost apex of the horoscope. So there's going to be a bit of an intensification of your work and maybe professional, legal, and also contractual matters during this period. And let me be clear on that. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to sign contracts, but contracts can be any sort of binding agreement. They can be verbal, spiritual, emotional, so on and so forth. So that, I think, in the first week of this month particularly, is quite intense. We also see Mercury entering into this same position on the 5th, a couple of days from now. That quickens the chart in that particular area, makes you more prone to movement. It's a fire sign along with your sun sign. So we do see the predisposition to travel and to move about being highly accentuated at this time during this transit of Mercury. Around 25 days of activity there. So pretty much the rest of this month, and of course being Christmas month, we know you're going to be pretty busy indeed. Mercury does move into a right angle of Neptune, which is in the 12th house of your horoscope. So that's interesting. You might be feeling a tug of war within yourself over, expenditures, how to spend money. Could be confused as to trying to keep up with the Joneses and wondering what people are going to buy you and how you should reciprocate. Again, I always say at this time of the year, for any time of that matter, it's more the thought that counts rather than the amount of money that you spend. So don't get too caught up in that. We do see some confusion when we have the Mercury and the Neptune right angles. Mars moves into your 7th house on the 8th. So this is a little bit obstructive. You may meet with some opposition during the placement of Mars moving into the opposition to the Sun. 7th house has to do with our important relationships. It is your ruling planet, so generally the angular position of one's ruling planet is good for such things as strengthening one's personality. Do you need that? I mean, you're usually fairly strong anyhow, Aries. But it can show a bit of obstruction there, or meeting with people of the same caliber of ego or intensity of purpose. So just be mindful of that. And it's that time of the year when, everyone's on edge. So words are likely to escalate into full-blown catastrophic wars if you're not careful. So do be careful of that. It does, however, show a strong leaning to, improving your relationships with others. The other issue you have there is the long-standing Uranus, which is retrograde right now, opposition from Mars to Uranus. So that can show that some of these circumstances I'm talking about do explode abruptly and unexpectedly. So be prepared for that. That is also highlighted by the fact that on the 11th, Mercury and Uranus are in a triangular aspect. So that's good because it shows that you can be creative with your words and are able to deal with others who are obstructing you in a way that's creative and able to temper their feelings a little more. You've got quite a few trine aspects on the 11th, the 12th, 13th, and 18th. So this whole period, second week, into the beginning of the third week is interesting. Mercury, Sun, Jupiter, and Mercury again, all forming very, very favourable aspects indeed from the 9th, 4th, 9th, and 10th. So that aspect on the 4th, we've talked about your career and your professional and also contractual issues. But the Jupiter-Saturn aspect on the 13th is a very nice aspect. It's very solidifying. We see that from your domestic sector. Mind you, that planet's been moving in reverse, and it has been in what we call an opposition aspect to Venus just over the last week or so, and that that can show excessive expenditure. I might have mentioned that last month, a need for you to just pull back a little bit in the way that you're, not just with finance, because it is your finance planet, Venus, but it also has to do with, your love and your sense of obligation to others. And therefore, that Saturn aspect, I think, is going to help temper that from the 8th house. So this is the shared resources, debts, loans. You may understand at this time that, you can't help everyone. So this is a time when you'll do what you can, and should be done in measured doses without feeling guilty. We talked about that Neptune aspect earlier. Don't feel guilt over the fact that you can't help everyone all of the time. 22nd and 24th, the very powerful conjunction of the Mercury-Sun combo there in the 10th house of your career is interesting, just leading up to Christmas. So that few days up to Christmas is very powerful and can indicate some very important communications with superiors, people that you work with. And it usually is an excellent time for those of you born under Aries to achieve some accolades and better improvement in your work. Mars-Uranus on Christmas Day itself. So this is leading up to Christmas too. Be careful of your health and the prospect there of running into some injury or not being well. That really is an explosive combination and occurs fully what we call perfect aspect on the 25th. 29th, we have the Sun conjunction Mercury. That's the strong conjunction I just talked about. So leading up to the 29th, just before the end of the year, there's still some good news maybe to be had from your work. Right angles on the 30th and 31st. That's Mercury to Uranus, Sun to Uranus, and Mars to Pluto. So that again is, I would say, a couple of days. I'd recommend you just stay put. Don't go out too much if you can avoid it. Minimize your movement, and particularly anything that's of a daredevil nature at that time. Final aspect of Mercury and Pluto, the conjunction there on the 31st, is also important. It can give you a deep need to solve some problem, but I'll be saying to you, let it go for the time being. It is the end of the year, Christmas season, and I do wish you the best. Thank you for the support you've given me and my website, astrology.com.au, over the year. Look forward to your company in the new year. Take care now. Bye-bye.